colleagues, friends. First of all, it's great to be here and welcome to the Arctic Circle Forum, Abu Dhabi. As His Excellency mentioned, I first also want to start by extending my sincere appreciation to the Arctic Circle and its chairman, His Excellency Olafur Grimsson, who is so passionate about how we can support each other, because what happens at the glaciers is impacting the world. And so with that, I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for your commitments, for your efforts in this and all the discussions you've had over the many years. So the third pole creates basically a neutral forum for scientists and policymakers from the third pole Himalaya region to really share experience and expertise and forge meaningful synergies. As you might know, the third pole region is an umbrella for countries in the geographic vicinity of the Himalaya. This includes India, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and several countries in Central Asia. And by the way, for my sake, when I first came into the ministry, I was not aware of the term third pole, and His Excellency explained this to me, and it really struck that this is such an important, everybody always talks about North Pole, South Pole, but third pole was something new to me, and I think bringing that awareness to the people is really important. So the region got its name because its ice fields contain the largest reserve of fresh water outside the polar regions, and it is the source of 10 major river systems that provide irrigation, power, and drinking water to over 24% of the world's population. That's huge. So the melting of the third pole Himalayan glaciers carries water security implications for 1.65 billion people. The region will experience profound ecological and geophysical transformations as a result of climate change, and many of you have seen what has happened in your region in just the past few months. As outlined in the 2019 Hindu Kush Himalaya assessment, and by the way, the scope of these consequences is not yet fully understood because the scientific data is lacking. And this is why having forums such as this to gather, to share knowledge and experiences, to share data is so essential. So scientific efforts to understand these phenomena requires access to data across borders. The inspiring history of international scientific cooperation in the Arctic, including on glaciological research, is of great significance for the future study of the third pole Himalayan glaciers. So the past 2 decades of Arctic dialogue that His Excellency has really spearheaded can really offer valuable guiding principles for improving the shared understanding of the glaciers themselves, as well as the consequences of their melting, such as impacts on downstream ecosystems, energy production, agriculture, and industry. Glacier melting due to climate change poses a serious threat to water security. If left unchecked, this phenomenon will trigger higher biodiversity loss, impede economic growth, lead to more acute food and water shortages, and even cause sea level rise thousands of kilometers away. Somebody explained it to me in very simple terms. As the glaciers are melting, you get these extreme floods, and you suddenly see a lake in front of you that was just made in a few days. Lakes as big as the UAE itself. Now, if you imagine, as global warming and the temperatures rise, these floods are going to happen more often, but once the glaciers are gone, there's no more water. So the indications are there, the signals are there, so it is so important that we work together on how we can help each other to adapt, to combat, and to help each other in this process, because this is about lives. So you may wonder why a desert country like the UAE would be so interested in supporting this cause. And the truth is, we have a long-standing collaboration with the Arctic Circle, because what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. And the impacts of glacier melting extend far beyond the North Pole, South Pole, and Third Pole regions. So this is really not about us, it's about all of us. And at the Arctic Circle Abu Dhabi Forum, we're going to address the relevance of the experience of international collaboration. This is something that the UAE very much is a bridge builder. Let's collaborate, let's talk to each other, and to basically put or help each other in gaining the knowledge that we need to secure the futures of the glaciers in the third pole Himalayan region and water resources of Asia. And so we will also highlight this through the clean energy research and investment within an exploration of the contributions of the renewable energy transition in the global fight against climate change. And building on this open dialogue that we're having, we are basically taking it from what we started at COP27, and of course before that even, all the way to the Emirates conference and the COP28 later this year. So I'm confident that this conversation will go a long way in forging meaningful partnerships and sharing experience to really advance mitigation and adaptation action in the region. And yes, His Excellency said rightly, I am going to be leaving the country to go to another country later this evening. And so I want to apologize, Your Excellency, that I will not be able to stay. But I do know that you are in good hands with His Excellency, and my team is also here to support. And I really think I want you to make use of the knowledge sharing. I want you to make use of thinking about how we could support you, the UAE and His Excellency, how we can support you as the third pole countries to help combat climate change and help you have adaptation goals as well, because this is really, it's serious stuff. So thank you again. Thank you, Your Excellency.